This is Seth Beamer, and you're listening to the Pivot Points Music Cast on Fader. Pivot Points dissects the lives of artists at their most crucial intersections, investigating the trials of this insane career and how they are overcome. These are the stories of the crossroads that, for better or worse, shape us all into the people, friends, and musicians we're meant to be. Today, I'm joined by Regan Akers, a highly sought-after bass player and a seasoned pro in the Nashville music scene. Whether he's on the road, in the studio, or playing local gigs with his various bands, Regan is always in motion. We'll dive into his journey, his projects, and what keeps him so busy. But first, I want to introduce you to some of his work. Here's a song by his longest-standing project with John Ollier. This is Poster Child.
Any way you want it.
Regan. Dude, thank you for being here, man.
Hey, Seth, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to get into all this. We met, just so the listeners know, we met while you were on the road. Mm-hmm. This is a few years back with a band called The Brevet. And I think even back then, you were kind of doing this sideman gig. Is that a lot of what you do? Are you on the road a lot, man? I think even as we were trying to film this, you were like, oh, sorry, I'm on the road. I can't do it on XY date. So, yeah.
Yeah, my work week is Thursday to Sunday or Monday. And it's just, that is, where are we at this week? Okay, all right. Like now I'm starting to kind of hit the stride of it where it's every weekend I'm usually gone. So this is a nice time where any weekend I'm at home is like, okay, I don't want to do anything. I just want to relax at home.
Oh, so perfect. Yeah.
That's great.
What's your most recent touring been like lately?
Well, let's see. Last weekend I was in Birmingham for a couple shows, and then next weekend I'm headed to New Orleans and back to Birmingham with a different band. Yeah, back to Birmingham with a different band, Fort Walton and New Orleans.
Nice.
So we're getting some miles in next weekend for sure.
And with a different band, how many bands are you in right now?
Right now, about 3 actively. So
okay, talk to me about these bands. What are all 3?
So we got John Ollier, who you mentioned. I've been with him the longest. I met him August of 22.
Yeah.
A band called Cliffs, mix of guys from really Indiana down to Nashville here.
Oh, okay.
And then a project I started with a good buddy of mine called Bronco Golden. So
very cool. Just
enough to keep me busy most hours of the day.
So talk to me. I do want to talk about all 3, but you mentioned that Cliffs is a bunch of guys spread out. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Being in a band, but you guys don't all live in the same city? How does that work?
It's the first time I've done that, but they've made it work. They've been around. I just came on board in the last about 6 months, and they have figured out their system. They're very well rehearsed, so that makes it very easy. You just know your part and show up, and look, okay, cool. We just
is that really it? You just show up and you got to know it.
I think we've had 1, maybe 2 rehearsals in that 6 months.
Oh my gosh!
And at least a couple handfuls of shows in that time. It was just like I got to get together with the guys that are in Nashville one time before the first show. I was like, okay, cool. So. Yeah. I'll know what the guitar and drums are doing, but not what the other guitar or what the singer's doing. Cool. All right. But no, it's great. The songs are great. It was really fun to learn and now be a part of.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about this story, because you were telling me before we started recording that you kind of manifested this band or being in it.
Yeah. So we were opening for them at the Basement, and I had known Stephen Kovac, the guitar player, from another gig. He had sideman. We had both sidemanned on a country gig and met. And I knew he had this band, but I had never kind of really listened enough. And then I was like, oh, sweet, I'll get to see it. Let's open for you. This will work out great.
Yeah, totally.
And 15 seconds into the first song, I looked at their manager. I was like, what is this? Like, where have you been hiding this band? Like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? And the whole show, I was just like, I must figure out how to be a part of this. I must figure it out. And afterwards I talked to him. I was like, you were all fantastic. If you ever need a tambourine player or a triangle player, like, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll try to work it out. And fast forward 4 or 5 months, Steven called me out of the blue. He was like, hey, our bass player doesn't want to do it anymore. Do you want the gig? And I was like, absolutely. Let's send me everything you got. Like, let's make it happen.
Absolutely, dude.
So.
How fun. And how fun that it's just a group that you guys can like just come together and enjoy and just be prepared for too. You guys have some new stuff coming out though, right?
Yep. Just released a single, Easy Way Out. I was not on it. That was during the old era. But they've been sitting on some material for a hot second now. But they're excited to release it. We're excited to release it. It's produced by Tom Bukovac and Mills Logan, world-class engineer and guitar player.
Nice.
The other way around. And so it's definitely a massive sonic boost in the sound, and I think accurately describes and captures what we sound like. So it's nice for the world to get to hear that now instead of just anybody that has gone to a show in the last year and a half.
Yeah, talk to me about like jumping in. They already have stuff that they're getting ready to release that was the pre-era, and now you've jumped into this band and you're writing with them now and helping this next process. I mean, what's that like? Is that like, was that a smooth process of like coming in, and did they take your ideas to heart, or are you kind of fighting for your stake a little bit, so to say?
Well, every situation is different, but that one in particular, because they were very well oiled before I got there. Yeah. And that is usually very helpful for a situation, but I also was kind of challenging them of like, hey, have we ever thought about like doing this? Like, just maybe like, and it started with like set lists. Like I love making set lists.
Really?
I geek out about it.
That's hilarious. That's the one thing I could give a shit about.
Oh, that's to me, that's the whole point. Like that is the playbook for the night for me. Yeah. It's like, if you can just create from 30 minutes to 45, like it doesn't matter if it's a Whiskey Jam set where you're doing 3 songs or you're doing a 90-minute set. Like how do you create, to me, like the way most people love going to movies, I'm like, I'm going to sit here for 90 minutes or however long, and I want to watch a story arc sonically or otherwise.
Sure,
like,
okay.
And so to me, I just like, how do we keep their attention from here to here? It's almost like a DJ in a way. Like you're trying to keep the party going, and then you can't dance everybody to death in the first 30 minutes, and then you throw in a sing along as you know.
And so that's what you were doing with them first, is like putting together these set lists.
I was like, have y'all ever tried something like this? And they were like, oh, whoa, well, let's try it. And feeling how songs can lead into one another, or that lead to jams that then lead to stuff that you write later on. You're like, oh my gosh, what was that thing we did at soundcheck for this? And
do you find that you're like, does key play a big factor? The key of a song, does that play a big factor into what can come next? Or if it's not in the same key, are you putting transitions in? Like what's happening there?
Yeah, you can do transitions, relative minors, all kinds of stuff. Like some songs with John, even we'll jam on sections when we're rehearsing, and it'll be like, oh, this movement is cool. Like, how do we work this in? Like, maybe we'll put this at the front of this song because it just leads nicely into it. Yeah. With Cliffs, we're starting to get that way when we do have time. We got together for a writing session in Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
And it was half of us writing and half just kind of like, all right, let's really get gelled in, instead of like, all right, we have sound check and then play the show, and then, all right, we'll see you in 2 more weeks when it's time to play again. Like there was...
Well, I imagine that's hard to like get locked in when it's like that, you know. But do you guys, when you play together, do you play like one-offs, or are you doing like full tours when you get together and play?
We're doing weekends right now. Okay. Since everybody's kind of spread out, it's scheduling gets tricky, but everybody's very committed to it, and so I'm kind of the one that they're having to work around sometimes, but
because you're so dang busy, dude.
If I could make 3 of me, I'd make a lot more money, but no. No, it's great. I feel like the luckiest person in the world, truly, to have landed with 3 awesome projects that I'm so excited to get to work on every day. And
yeah, dude.
And the fact that, to me, none of them, there's no overlap. Like, you got 2 5-pieces, one with a saxophone, one's with 3 guitars, and then a trio.
Yeah.
Like a traditional trio, and it's like, I've gotten pretty good to where, like I said, there's no overlap or creative cross pollination unless I want there to be. Like it's
Yeah.
you know
You can kind of keep your worlds in your own worlds here.
it's you know that finally, because I was talking to a buddy about this last night. I was like, I consider myself more of a song miner, like because I'll have ideas of songs. It'll be like, oh, this is a great verse, or this is a great melody, or this is a great bass part, and I'll know it's great, but I don't have anything. Like I'll maybe work at it a little bit that day, or voice memo it and come back to it later.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I'll sit on for years. Like I've got a handful of song ideas that are top to bottom, somewhat fleshed out, minus lyrics, and I'm like, I have like 60% of this, but I don't know which direction to take this in, because not being my own artist in that sense, I'm kind of like, well, all I need is one person to tell me what direction to take this, and then we can just move that way. I like to keep stuff in somewhat of an infancy until I know which way it should or needs to grow.
And so do you find yourself like with each one of these bands, you have like different starts to songs that you can kind of present to each one based on how you feel it could go?
Yeah. So it's, different
cool.
kind of file folders of
like, oh, this would work great for these guys. This would work great for you. Yeah.
And every now and again, like, you know, if if one group that I think it works for, it goes to them and it kind of gets passed around and doesn't see much of stuff. It's like, I'll kind of let it bury for a little while, and then I'll come back to it and it's like, well, maybe I'll give that another try with them, or it's been long enough now that I know no one's like gestating on it, so let's try it in another one. You know, maybe I'm wrong and I'll show it to somebody else on a whim and see if it triggers something.
This actually brings up an interesting just situation, and I'm curious about, and maybe it's different. Can you tell me, is writing with each one of these bands and the writing credit, is it always an even split with these guys? Do you guys, or is it different with each one, or different per song, or how do you approach that with everyone?
Different with each one. Two of them, it splits down the personnel.
Okay.
And then another one is the songwriting goes to the chief songwriting group, and then, or whoever, you know, the chief songwriters.
Sure.
And then the publishing from that then gets disseminated down into everybody. So everybody's taking from the master of the publishing.
Gotcha.
Aside, but the songwriting goes strictly to whoever the songwriters were.
Interesting. Oh, I haven't heard of that approach yet.
I continue to see new stuff every day. I've been in Nashville for 14 years now, and I still continue to see new stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but like that makes sense for that situation. Like,
gotcha.
All right. And I think there's ways to keep people involved, and I know Nashville is very much an artist town where, the band members are coming and going, and so some of them want to have. I've been in camps where the artist really wants to have that, but for X, Y, or Z reason, they can't keep the personnel around. So then it develops this like, well, I'm not going to split all this stuff with all these different people if they're coming and going. It's like, I want people to have been here,
sure,
to have, run it with me and kind of been along for the ride.
I feel like it'd be hard to even open yourself up to co-writing with people at that point, because you'd be like, well, you're not going to stick around anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of people do it that way. I've found, I do enjoy other stuff of like music direction and, like I said, developing set lists, just live show production, like that kind of stuff. Like I can get my rocks off that way. Like I was in a cover band, a big 7-piece cover band for 6 years. That did all kinds of private parties and stuff downtown. So like I got to appreciate playing songs that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And honestly, it wasn't until somebody said that the artist said to me, unless you wrote the song, it's a cover to begin with. I was like, well, then I want to be a part of writing the songs. And for the one, if I'm not the chief songwriter or the primary songwriter in one of these songs, they still bring it to us to like put together the music, and that's why we take it on the publishing side. But I'm more geek out on the sounds too. Like I'm lyrics last. Like I'm every songwriter's worst nightmare of being lyrics last. There are songs that I didn't. Prime example was "Excitable Boy." that song, you read the lyrics to that, and it's actually a really haunting and chilling song. But you're
really?
like, excitable boy, they all say da-na-na-na. I remember listening to that with my dad as a kid in the car, and my mom looking at my dad just like, oh, turn this off, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But
you're like, you're not even listening to that.
This beat is great. I'm having a good time. This is a fun song.
Man, I'm the same exact way, because I'll show people my songs, or I'll listen to a song with someone and they're like, oh my gosh, the lyrics were just, wow. And the stories and and I'm like, that's what they said, or that's what you heard what I said, or,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are you talking about? I don't even hear that.
Yeah.
I just hear the overall thing. And then maybe that's the bass player in us too.
Yes, absolutely.
If hearing the form, more of an arranger.
I'm sitting back there playing one note at a time being like, it gives me all the time to think about all the things that could be there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, I want to listen to a song here. We're going to get back into some. I'm curious to hear about your journey. You said you've been in Nashville 14 years, so we'll talk about all that. But I want to listen to a song by Cliffs here, just to kind of get us going. This is "Easy Way Out." 14 years, man. When you came to town, did you think you'd be playing with tons of different bands and you'd be writing and you'd be touring, or did you come starry-eyed, or how'd you come?
I came pretty starry-eyed. I came from suburb north of Dallas, and in my hometown, I was like, the small, cross section of my hometown was like, yeah, he's the bass player. Like, that's what he does. I played in church, played with a band, and a couple of just random one-offs with people down there.
Cool.
And when I moved to Nashville, I was like, oh, this will be just like that. I'll just walk in. Nobody wants to play bass. How many bass players could there be? Turns out there's a lot. A lot of talented people. Everywhere you look. And I came out here for school and had no intention of graduating. That was my cover to get out of Dallas and go somewhere to play music.
That's funny, yeah.
Ended up graduating early.
Nice.
And
where'd you go to school here?
I was Belmont kid.
Okay, nice.
So graduated and then stuck around. And one of my first jobs out of college was I got to go guitar tech for Christian Bush of Sugarland.
Oh, very cool.
And did that for 9 months on his solo record. And I think the second or third show was, we were third of 6 opening for Kenny Chesney at Death Valley, LSU's football stadium.
All right.
And I had got sunburnt purple the day before, but I just remember thinking, like, this is insane. And I want to be 20 feet to the left of where I'm at right now. Because I was stage right, and I was in the wing, and I was like, this is awesome. When I went to sound check the guitar and strummed it in front of all those people who were there waiting to hear something else, I was like, I don't want to be over there. I want to be up front. If not up front, but it's like, I want to be under the lights that are hitting. So I've told a bunch of people, it's like, I'm totally content being the blurry, cropped guy over the left shoulder of the artist.
Yeah.
But I need to be on stage. Like, I have fun, and the live show is, I get all my energy from that. I'm not a very competitive person.
Yeah.
But to me, my competitive nature comes out when I'm playing an original show at a club, a coffee shop, doesn't matter. If I'm playing songs that you've never heard of, that I've written or been a part of writing or bringing to life in some way,
sure,
I'm trying to convince you that this is the best song you've ever heard.
Totally.
And so that's awesome. That's where I'm like, get in the huddle, guys. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get ready. We're going to play these songs, and we're going to make some new fans. You ready? All right, hike. That's...
Oh, I could see you being the hype man.
That's, me backstage 5 minutes before, I'm like, all right, come on. Let's, Ted Lasso.
So what was your first opportunity to get to be under the lights then? After that tech job, what'd you do?
After the tech job, I played for a gal, Victoria Bigelow. We were Victoria in the Hive at the time.
Okay.
And that was 2015. She's out in Arizona. Shout out Victoria. And that was kind of like, okay, I don't really know. I didn't want to wasn't doing much band stuff. Was just kind of like, I just want to play with people. I just love doing that. I'll figure out a band thing later.
Yeah.
and then met two artists at the same time. Band The Ivans, who I played with, still to now. We're not very active, but
okay.
Joined them, and a couple brothers from Richmond, Virginia, Jim and Jack and Hatton, and they moved down here, I want to say 2016 maybe, and I met them in 2017, started playing with them.
Okay.
And have gone to Africa with them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Some cool opportunities then.
Yeah, just wild stuff, like wild things that I think about that have just, I can't believe getting to play music has led me to do this. From, like I said, going to Africa.
That's crazy.
Chris Ferraro was the other artist I was playing with at the time. And we were doing private parties. Like, I got to meet NFL players. I got to go to all these fancy places and just play the best top 40 music you've ever heard, and with some of the most elite musicians in the most fun ways.
Oh, so cool.
So I really, for the first, I don't know, from 2015 to really through till COVID, it was just like anything I could take. I was like, I want to play. Give me the chance to play. Like, just looking for, like, I mean, what hits the music, the personnel, all the things, all the intangibles you look for. It was like how close to 100% can I get of all those things that I love all happening.
And was your brain just like filled with music, and you're just, did you ever have a hard time like keeping it all straight, or have you always been the kind of guy who you can just like take it and roll with it?
It's relatively compartmentalized. For bass, I will say. If I had to play any other instrument at this level, I don't think I could do it. Maybe drums only, not currently, but like you take me back in time and change a few things about my childhood, I probably could have been a drummer.
Yeah, sure.
But as a bass player,
most bass players, I think.
I could just, I don't know, everything. It's like I couldn't remember how to say the preamble to the Constitution, but I can remember 500 bass parts to 500 different songs.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know. It just.
Did you do bass in college? Is that what you studied?
I was a music business major.
Okay.
But I visited to be a music major when I was a sophomore in high school, and thought, nah, I'm not doing this. I don't want to come to Nashville. This is dumb. I'm going to go back to Texas and figure it out.
Really?
A year and a half later, I would be on my way to Nashville.
You thought it was dumb? Where did that come from?
I was like, they're walking us through the audition process.
Yeah.
And as a not classically trained bass player, I'm like, etudes, what? Sonnets, what?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Music can't be learned in a book.
Oh, yeah.
And not that I was untrained, like I knew where my notes were.
Sure.
But I've found if you're fluent, so to speak, in a handful of different musical languages. On that trip, one of my mom's friends that we met here, that lived out here, told me about the Nashville number system. And so I was hip to it at 16, 17, was like, oh, okay. And that's what I saw the most of out of the gate anyway. So I was like, okay, especially for bass.
Yep.
I look at it as like, if you're looking at the big long chord, the E flat minor 7, whatever, to me, that's like the play, the football play.
Yeah.
And I'm, bass and drums are linemen. So I'm like, I have to just look at the first part of that. Like the add 9, 7s, diminished. I don't really care about that. I was like, what does the letter say? A, cool. That's what I'm going to play. And then, add a little bit more minor, major. Okay, I could add a 3 in there if you want, but it'll probably be the root, maybe the fit, and then knowing it that way, and that's just how I process it, is everything in terms of numbers, because I'm just monophonic.
I feel like that's the blessing and the curse of bass, though, because you can kind of get caught in that.
You're like, oh, you want the 7? Hold on, let me get way up. You get really goofy.
I remember being so intimidated when I first started learning how to utilize those other notes inside of the chord too, where I was like, I don't know, just getting away from those 1s and 5s that's a process for sure. So that's cool, man. Talk to me about, you said during COVID, everything came to a stop. Is that where everything kind of like, you started playing in different bands all of a sudden after COVID? Like, what happened?
COVID stopped everything for everybody. I moved houses. I moved to the house I'm currently in, March of 2020.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
the roommates that we had were all musicians, and we had the joke of like, oh, we're all going to live together, but we're never going to see each other because we're all going to be gone. We only saw each other for the next 9 months.
Yeah.
But we had that. The tornado happened 2 days after I moved in,
Oh, that's right.
and that ripped through. I remember the rain would stop, the siren would stop, and we'd go out. When it's dead quiet, this is eerie, and then the rain would immediately start again. We're like, nope, we're going back to the basement.
Oh my gosh.
But otherwise, like, we never really heard it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we're looking at, all the news, and it was like, oh my gosh. So there was that, and then COVID. So those were my 3 world-changing events in a 3-week span of moving across town for the first time, and the tornado and COVID. So it was just kind of, whoa, everything's changed. But then, of course, COVID changed for everybody.
Yeah.
And since I wasn't on the road, I just kind of was starting to take stock of more of like, okay, this is what I want to kind of transition to. At the time, I was playing for the Ivan. Still, we were kind of slowly hitting our hiatus, as it were.
Okay.
And Ferrara was pretty much null and void for most of that year, as was Ross Cooper, another artist that I was playing with. And then as everything kind of picked back up, it was Ross and Chris that I was playing with mostly, and balancing that back and forth where I was playing in town with Chris on Friday and then flying to Texas or somewhere Saturday to play with Ross on Saturday and then coming back.
That sounds like an even crazier schedule than what you have right now.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it was.
Yeah.
But, so I did that. And then about summer of 22, I kind of had a lot of things that all kind of came crumbling at once, and was just like, okay, I need to find something different. And I met John August of 22, almost very serendipitously. A dear friend of ours
Yeah.
had been called by John and was like, hey, I'm looking for a bass player, preferably that sings high harmonies. My buddy Dave was like, I know just the guy, and immediately called me, and I took one listen to the song that he sent me. I was like, yep, nope, I'm in.
You said,
like, it was a hair on the back of my neck. Same moment. I was like, yep, whatever. I don't even care what day it is. I'm in. Like,
oh, wow.
He was like, I haven't even told you. I was like, nope, I'm in. We're good.
Yeah.
And that was the first of like, oh, this is what it should feel like. This is like this group of people I really enjoy. This music I really like. There's no song in the set that I'm like, oh, here we go. We're playing this one again.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, where it was like, I'm excited, from the moment we leave Van Call to the moment we get back. And
cool.
Every time that we get together, it's always a good time.
Wow.
And so and I met Zach, who is in who I started Bronco Golden with.
Yeah.
Through that he was playing guitar for John, continues to play guitar for John.
Okay.
But we played with John that one day, and then Zach was more active with his his solo career at the time. So I was playing with Zach, and that's what fostered that relationship. So it was just all kind of, those two kind of worked together and then slowly started to separate and become their own completely different identities.
Oh, cool.
And so it's...
Wow. It's very crazy how I think you are the true representation of how, like I tell people back in Colorado, I say, Nashville feels like musical summer camp for adults, or like college.
Oh my gosh, yes. I still have nightmares that I will wake up one day and my parents are like, all right, time to go.
Yeah.
Get back in the car, pack your stuff up, like, we're going back. You're going to get a real job. And I'm like, no. Okay, all right. Well,
but it's cool how you just like, you're weaving in and out of these bands and everyone's playing with everyone and just kind of everyone's figuring it out together and having fun and having projects that they're just excited and passionate about.
Yeah. We're lucky enough to do this for a living. I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you want to try and enjoy every bit of it? So it's just, for me, the first handful of years were all learning. If you've heard Nashville is a 10-year town, I think it's a music career is at least a 10-year situation, because you find out all the if you learn and pay attention to it, you learn all the nuance of stuff, and you're like, okay, I don't really like that about it, but I really love this part about it. Does that outweigh this? I feel like by 10 years, you've weeded out anybody that doesn't really want to do it.
Sure.
And once you hit that 10-year mark, it's like, okay, now we just have to, we know what we want and how we want to get there. And now we just got to actually do it, which is the hardest part.
Was there ever a moment where in those first 10 years that you're like, I don't know if this is for me, or I don't know if I want to keep doing this?
I feel really lucky that I feel like I knew I wanted to do this since I was about 14 or 15.
Really?
And I've had a few friends who have hung it up.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion, and I just am like, I can't even imagine. Like I truly,
wow.
I have no concept. I've worked all kinds of random jobs in the interim, but like,
sure,
I've never worn a suit to work, which was something I told my parents from the get-go. I was like, I'm never going to wear a suit to work unless I want to.
You're just stabbing them in the heart, man. Just
like, corporate America, I will not be one of you.
Your parents are like, no, you need to make money.
Yeah. But no, I feel, like I said, I feel really lucky, especially now, to be a part of three different projects that I sweat because I'm just like, how do I make sure I'm there for everybody at all times? And I've
awesome.
been lucky enough that it's kind of like, all right, it's almost like a kid with 3 sets of parents. Or a parent with 3 sets of kids. I don't know which makes more sense or feels better, but it's just kind of like, someone asks like, which one do you like more? And it's like, I get so much out of each one and so much different stuff out of each one that it really gun to my head. It's like, I don't really know what I would choose.
Yeah. Talk to me about Bronco Golden a little bit. That one's starting and with Zach.
So
why did this start then? You have all these projects already, and then he's like, let's add on another.
Yeah, let's do some more. Why not? So Zach, like I said, Zach and I had started playing with him when we met John, and he was like, I need a bass player too. Will you play with me? I was like, absolutely.
Cool.
And as we would go through the songs, like, it's hard for me to leave well enough alone in songwriting too, where I'm like, hey, maybe if we fix this. And Zach was very open. He'd only been in town a couple of 3-4 years at that time.
Okay.
And I was just like, can we try this? Like, just maybe. And just blossomed our songwriting relationship together. And
cool.
He would, since it was his artistry, we would write some songs together, and we were just on the road a lot. He was pretty busy. We were playing every 10 roof in America. We were playing every podunk club and from this side of the Mississippi. And just working out songs. And he had just released a record and was kind of writing and figuring out what he wanted to do for his next record.
Cool.
And as we were getting through that and just kind of chopping through, we recorded like 20 songs or something for what would be the second record. And
to whittle them down, or you're going to release all 20?
To whittle them down.
Okay.
And as we got deeper into it, he had really thought he wanted this 5-piece, aux or pedal steel or fiddle. It was kind of some Americana elements.
Sure.
And through scheduling conflicts, it slowly whittled down to like, all right, we'll do a 4-piece because the 5th guy, can't make it all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have a regular guy. Okay. And then the other guitar player started not showing up, and I kept being like, Zach, dude, I think we can do this. I think if we just do this trio thing, it'd be cool. Kind of thinking it would just be an identity for his solo stuff. And as we got more into it and we were writing songs, it's like, this doesn't really sound like you. This sounds like all of my weird rock stuff that I really love mixed with the crazy creative that he is.
Cool.
And I was just like, this is creating something entirely different. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And over the course of most of last year, it was kind of like, all right, let's kind of pick through any song that was good enough to survive what was effectively 2 years of A&R and R&D and trial and error and whatnot to see what still works as a trio. One of the things I'm most proud of with Bronco is how much noise we can make as 3 people. It's like, and this is no disrespect to tracks or using tracks. I've been in bands that use them and whatnot.
Well, that was going to be my next question is, do you use tracks? But
we
apparently
don't. No.
Okay.
That's to me, that's the creativity is like, how can we make as much creative, chaotic noise as possible with just 3 people.
Wow.
And we've kind of figured out a fun little system for it, and it works wonders for us.
Nice.
Zach is just such a tidal wave of guitar force. That, you know, you were there in the studio when we were working on some stuff, and
Absolutely.
you know, his SG through the Sovtech, it's like, that's him. Like, it truly, there were so, you know, we did a handful of songs that day, and just, we'd try a couple different things, and everything we came back to, even in mixing, was like, yeah, you think it's the SG. Okay, yeah, that's the one we're going to use then.
Very cool. So is he still doing the solo thing then, or he's all in on this Bronco Golden now?
We're chasing down Bronco for now. I think he might release some stuff. That is his prerogative now. But as far, you know, he sends me songs all the time, and we go through, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is Bronco stuff. Let's come over and let's really hash this out. And then, you know, he writes with John still too, and there's songs that we write. It's kind of whoever chews at it first is who it then goes to. Whoever shows interest in it first and really goes after it. And then if it doesn't percolate into something, then it's kind of like, you know, if the other one wants it, they can, you know, take a stab at it too.
How, and I'm asking this for the listeners and for me, how are you guys all making money doing this, man? Just playing with each other, playing music, and getting on the road, like, that all costs money.
It does cost money.
How are you guys getting to do this and then start new projects and then have the money for that?
Day jobs, and for most of them, wives with great jobs really help.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I have worked, like I said, I've worked a number of odd jobs as well, because they've all been profitable or the lack thereof at different times. So there are seasons of life where it's like, okay, well, none of them are busy right now either. So now I don't have a job, so I'll go play downtown Broadway and do some cover shows, which I still have connections to. And
maybe that's the nice thing about being a bass player, is you have those kinds of opportunities pretty quickly.
Yes, and the fact that I can go 7 miles down the road and play and make some decent money and get to sleep in my own bed, like, that's a nice thing to have in the back pocket. And some of those shows, like a Tin Roof cover set, I'll do those every once in a while with a band or two that I stay in touch with that are like, hey, our usual guy can't do it, want to go make some money? I'm like, absolutely, I would love to go make some money with you guys and go create. Because to me, the other part of, I love a 4-hour set, because it's like, all right, I can really I can just tear it. I can really go after my instrument and play with people. Yeah. Because at the core of it, that's what we all want. Like, if you're a real musician, you want to play with other people. Like, that's kind of the most fun part of it.
Oh, totally.
Like, we could all jam in front of people, but, like, to me, those cover sets are so much fun, because it's just like, I talked about making set lists. Those are fun because you don't know what the set list is. You're just kind of like, we'll start with this, and maybe someone comes up and requests something, and then we go down this rabbit hole, or then we go do this. So,
okay.
You know, to me, it's kind of like, all right, let's stay on your toes. Like, oh, they're calling 311. All right, let's do some 311. Okay, let's do some Tom Petty now. Like, it's just, can you stick with it pretty quickly?
That's fun. I'm sure that was tough, though, to get into, to get all the repertoire under your fingers. And then once it's under your fingers, it's like, oh, you got it.
Yeah. Now it's just kind of like, okay, have you added anything to the set? Okay, no. Okay. And I'll go home and just kind of spot treat it, like, oh, yeah, they do. Oh, yeah, they do a little bit different. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're good. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, the group, one of the groups, Wrestle with Jimmy, does all 90s and
Wrestle with Jimmy.
Yes.
I love it. Love the name.
Yes. Plenty of Weezer, plenty of Red Hot Chili Peppers, all grunge and rock stuff. So that, which is like all my bread and butter.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, it's a fun, like I said, exercise of, can you just pull it out? And, it's a fun time.
Dude, that's awesome, man. We got a little sidetracked there. I want to bring it back to Bronco Golden and listen to a song. And we're also getting out of order, because we talked about the order before this. We're going out of order now. But I want to talk about Bronco Golden and this song that you guys are getting ready to release, or maybe it'll be released by the time we come out with this. I'm trying to think about it. But listeners, if you're out there, either go check it out or keep an eye on this. Where Is My Mind? You guys are going to release that as your first Bronco Golden song. You're releasing a cover as your first song.
Yes.
Talk to me about that decision.
Well, as a new band, you know, the game has changed in terms of release strategies, I think. But honestly, it's one of those weird creations that I came up with at home and was like, I wonder if this would work with this. And showed it to Zach, and he was like, "Yes, we're doing it." And
Nice.
started throwing it in the live show. And if they didn't remember anything, they would always be like, "That Pixies cover is really dope, though." And I was like, "Okay, well this at least stands for something." And to me, like, it's an easy way to get people to come to it initially. It's like, okay, well, I know the song. You think you know what you're expecting to hear, and then you hear it, and you're like, "Oh, whoa, this is a fun." Oh, I like this. This is cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then
it is a very cool version. I'll say that to the listeners because it's. I mean, you've all heard the song before, but not like this. Yeah. It's very fun. Well, let's listen to it, man. Stop. Moving forward, you guys have one more song in the tank that I know of, at least.
Yes.
Do you guys have more, and what's to come?
We have one more done. We have one in the process of being done. And then we're trying to schedule to go finish what will be probably an EP in April.
Nice.
And I think it's going to be 7 songs. We're gonna record 7 songs.
Okay.
I'll say that now. We're going to record 7 songs and see what makes it out. But this will be a year of steady releases once the first one comes. So
nice.
It's.
Do you guys do that all at the same studio? The studio we were at,
Schematic.
Was Schematic. Do you guys record everything there? That
is where we've recorded so far. Everything. That is the current plan.
Cool.
So it's. For us, it's still cozy, but it's a great vibey place. Homer Ruiz, our engineer, is a great, awesome, basically 4th member of the band that helps, capture the sound, and is the nice one to kind of just be like the last line of defense of like, you sure you want to do it that way, or like, and it's like, well, what are you hearing that we're not hearing? And he'll say something like, oh, like. Something we tried and was worthy of us trying. Yeah. One of the songs we did, the BPM was 136, and he's asking, what is it? And I was like, 136. And he typed it in 163 on accident and pressed it. And Zach lit up and was like, let's go. And we hit it and was like, all right, let's try it. Yeah. And we did it and it was like, this would be a fun alternate take. We need to work this up, but this was worth accidentally stumbling on. Yeah. To then find out, maybe this is something to look at later.
Well, those are the happy accidents in the studio, not just in the studio, but in music, where it's like you fuck up and it ends up being the thing. I feel like that happens more often than not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. As we kind of wrap up here, I want to talk a little bit more about you said that you're kind of in the rock era, or the rock genre. That's more of your thing. That's where you play a lot. Have you had experience playing in the other worlds, and what brought you to rock, man? What was the inspiration for that?
That's just
who you are.
What I grew up, loud noises, big drums, big guitars, like that. Yeah. That always spoke to me. That said, like, my brother was a theater kid and did a lot of musicals, and so like you'll catch me singing "Popular" by Wicked every now and again. Like nothing's off limits. I have my preferences for playing, preferences for listening.
Dude, that's so funny. That song got brought up at work today, and they were singing it at work. I'm like,
"You're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the proper poise when you talk to boys. Little ways to flirt and flash." Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Oh yeah, dude.
You got it down.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, there is a time and place for that. I don't need to bust that out on Broadway usually.
Yeah.
But I've always gravitated towards rock stuff. That I love making the joke of like my dad's car growing up. There, he had the 6 CD changer. Yeah. Back when we were all listening to CDs, but it was in the glove compartment, so it was like a little hard drive that you had to pull out, and it was always Beatles' #1 greatest hits, Zeppelin 4. one of the first 3 Matchbox 20 records, Terry Clark's Pain to Kill, Dave Matthews Crash, and usually whatever was new, Les Dudek or New Radicals or some Joe Jackson, something.
Wow.
Random. But it was always just like acoustic and vocals turned me off for the longest time. Like the second I hear a acoustic strum and a voice and a voicemail, I'm like, nope, done, next.
You're like, nah.
And it wasn't until much like, being in Nashville and appreciating the lyrics and learning to appreciate more of that art
Totally
got me around to like, okay, I can listen to something delicate because it's all meant to service the lyric.
Yeah.
Versus to me growing up, the lyric was always just kind of another piece, an addition. Like you could tell me they're saying phonetics and I don't care. Like, cool. I don't need to be groundbreaking with lyrics to associate with it as a kid.
Totally. Yeah.
But rhythms as well. Like in another life, I told you I was like I would have been a drummer, but I don't think my parents would have allowed that for the noise complaints.
I was gonna say, you know what? I told my dad I wanted to play drums when I was a kid. You know what he said?
He said, "Hell no."
He said, "No, that's just noise." I was like, "No, it's not just noise.
It's the backbone of the band."
Yeah.
I get to carry all the heaviest stuff.
Well, and then I have. I've taught for years and done private lessons, and I used to teach in different studios, and kids would come in for their guitar lesson, but they would like go to the drum room and like look, they would want to bang on some circles, they just thought it was so cool. And I would always tell parents, because the parents were always like, I don't know if they should, switch or whatever. And I said, let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I said, that's the number one thing is the kid gets to decide. Mm-hmm. And if they're excited about drums, you couldn't ask for anything more than that. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're excited about music, why would you ever say no?
Exactly.
So yeah,
I get thrilled because that's the other thing for me is like, I believe that everybody has some lucrative dream, whether it's pro athlete, actor, musician, what have you, something, I believe that everybody has the desire to shoot for the stars.
Sure.
That's not the case. Like there's some people that are like, I want to be an accountant. I want to be a vet tech. And I'm like,
which is cool.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Like, are you living that life? Yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
yep.
Good for you then. Like,
yeah.
So for me, it's like, why wouldn't you want to fight something? To me, it seems very obvious of why I would want to do that. But just the joy in seeing people play, do something like that, whether it's a kid or an adult, is just you can't buy that kind of joy. Like that's
what it's all about, man. It should only be a fun thing, is what I tell people. Music should only be a fun thing,
right?
We talked a little bit about Inhaler earlier.
Yes.
What's up with Inhaler, man? I haven't even heard of this band.
So, Irish band. This is their third record. I just got turned on to them this year, honestly, by Seth Jenkins. Shout out Seth of Cliffs.
Yeah.
Who sent me this record, and it's Bono's son is the singer.
What?
And like I tell you that now, and now you'll hear it immediately when he starts singing. But I literally was listening to it because I didn't know that, and I was like, this is like a little bit of Bono, but its own thing. It got kind of these other little nuance to it, and just the production is way cool. I'm convinced that like England makes the best alt rock, and Australia has the best alt singers, like rock singers.
Okay.
Like this weird theory I'm developing, but like no one outside, all these rock bands in the UK are just, to me, reinventing the wheel, whether it's, anything Noel Gallagher's doing, I feel like is always really cool. Even Liam Gallagher, like the Gallagher brothers are always doing something cool. It may not always be Oasis, but it's always cool to me.
Yeah.
Nothing But Thieves.
Oh, they're killing it right now.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Kid Capici, like Wonder Horse, like just a bunch of great English bands that to me is like, all of you sound unique. And it's like, not to dish on American music, like I feel like
everyone's doing the same thing here.
American rock is not reinventing the wheel. They're the last to reinvent the wheel.
Totally.
That's why I feel like LCD Sound System and Cage the Elephant were like, we went and got popular in England and then came back over to America. Yeah. And everybody's like, where have you guys been? You're English? What? It's like, no, we're from Kentucky or whatever town.
Well, say Inhaler, what's a tune that we should listen to by them? I'm curious to hear this crazy sound.
Their song Your House. I'm a sucker for piano in a rock song, especially if it just grooves, and the chorus piano part just gets me every time.
All right, man, let's listen to it. This is Inhaler, Your House. Were you a fan of the Fray growing up then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was listening to them the other day. That those first two records are just so wonderful.
Man.
Like the Jack's Mannequin, Something Corporate, like.
Yeah, totally. You know, the Fray's touring it again. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and they sound great too.
You know what's crazy? So, it's Joe King, I think, and one of the other guys.
Yeah.
You know what their biggest hit is? Closer by Chainsmokers.
That they wrote?
Yeah. They're
What?
songwriters on that.
No way.
Yeah.
How'd you find that out? Or did you just look it up? Or
Here, this is my plug for Tidal. Tidal is great about having credits, and I was always buying CDs. I was always reading booklets and like, that's a name. Oh, da, da, da. So I love seeing who's on what.
Yeah. Was it Ben who was in the band?
I think so.
Ben Wysocki?
Yes,
the drummer?
I believe so.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, but is that
but
the second person?
That same thing where you're like, I was just kind of skimming through it. I don't even know what else I was looking at, but it just happened to be up, and I was like, what else have they wrote? Like, I didn't immediately recognize the name. I was like, but how do you be a part of one of the biggest songs of that time?
Yep.
And clicked on it, and it was like Fray. And I was like, oh my gosh, what?
That's wild. And not even close to the same style of music.
No. Like that's what gets me is like I love the idea of being just in so many places at once, in that sense where like the most famous person you've never heard of is like secretly my dream.
Oh.
It's like I still want to be able to walk to the grocery store and not be bothered. But then it's
but you hear something on the radio while you're picking out fruit, and the lady next to you is like singing along, and you're like,
I'm like, yeah, still got it.
Yeah.
No, that's my dream. Is like I don't necessarily want to do any of like the talk show, like be the household name. I just want to be playing in every household.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I'm sure it'll happen eventually with all these bands you're playing.
Somebody's gonna blow up, right?
Yeah, someone has to. Come on, guys. Well, dude, is there anything else that you want to talk about here today and kind of promote? Like what else you got coming up and any shows that we need to plug here?
Oh, man. Well, if you're, let's see. I'm trying to think when this is coming out. If you're in Texas, John Ollier will be in Texas the first weekend. Was that the 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there.
Of May?
Of June.
Of June, okay. Yep.
Yep, we'll be out. I'm trying to remember what my May schedule is. Ooh. So this Google Calendar is what saves me. That's if it's not on the Google Calendar, it doesn't exist.
How about where can they find you online? How about that? They can follow you and find out.
Ray After Dark 29 on Instagram. I'm one of those weird people that I'm like a granddad. I keep it on an iPhone or on an iPad at home.
Yeah.
It's like my home computer just for Instagram is how I
that's
check
funny.
in with it.
Nice.
It's keeps me from being on it too much because that's my addiction is doom scrolling, so that keeps me out of it. But you know, that's where I'm active.
Don't we all, man? Don't we all?
Yeah.
Well, dude, Regan, thank you so much for sitting down today.
Seth, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's all we got, folks. Thanks so much for listening to Pivot Points. You can listen to the Pivot Points Music Cast and more on the Fader app. My name is Seth Beamer, and I'll talk to you soon.